Sup y'all, and welcome to Economic Development and Globalization, Part 5. In this video, we're going to be looking at the globalized world and ask this essential question: how do networks facilitate the globalized world? Now, to best understand the role networks play in our modern world, we revisit the term globalization, which is a chaotic set of practices at the global scale. This involves economic, political, cultural, social, as well as other processes. But as you can see with these FedEx advertisements, the essence of globalization revolves around trade. To this, we can define a network as a set of interconnected nodes, and one in which there may be no discernible center. While countless texts and conversations transpire across apps like FaceTime, Snapchat, and Twitter, these dialogues occur simultaneously, asynchronously, and sometimes even anonymously. Social networks have grown exponentially since the 1990s, connecting us remotely in new and improved ways. Yet we are still social beings and prefer face-to-face interaction. We still prefer actual reality to virtual reality. In sum, there is still the need for skin in the game. While geography and distance still matters, social networks enable us to create imagined communities, as opposed to the actual communities in which we live. Even though we do not know, or may never meet, the thousands of people and personalities we see and hear from over the television or internet every week, we still identify with them. With the advent of information technology, we have dramatically reduced distance decay and have amplified the effects of time-space compression. What you are looking at here may seem quite boring and ordinary at first, but it is actually quite remarkable. This is the first website ever. Originally designed in 1990 by CERN, the European Organization for Nuclear Research, the World Wide Web crawled through its first few years, but then exploded. Especially in 1995, when Windows 95 came out, which featured a simple graphical user interface similar to Apple computers, and more powerful and user-friendly web browsers, like Netscape featured in the lower right. At that time, people and companies possessed most of their information and programs on their own machines or on floppy disks. However, over time, we have shifted from computer-centered technologies to network-centered technologies, such as the internet and the myriad of devices that utilize its power. And on this choropleth map, you can see the concentration and intensity of the number of devices connected to the internet, which is known as the Internet of Things. It is the grounded and mobile infrastructure of our information society. Cloud computing is becoming more ubiquitous. It is a type of internet-based computing that provides shared data and programs to computers and other devices on demand. Again, many people and companies still hold a bulk of their information on their own hardware, but cloud computing is less expensive and is therefore becoming more commonplace, as seen with the enormous growth on the graph. Nonetheless, the information technology explosion has largely been a first world phenomenon, as the digital divide prevents many people in the third world from the benefits of the internet, as seen on this map. And even though many people in developing countries may not have direct access, people around them do, which enables information and trends to spread not only hierarchically, but contagiously. And this was seen during the Arab Spring, which was a revolutionary uprising in North Africa and the Middle East starting in 2010, caused by decades of poverty, oppression, and censorship. In Tunisia, a vegetable peddler protested the police after they confiscated his cart, which was also his livelihood. Distraught, he set himself ablaze. Later on, he died, and this incident caused long-simmering frustrations over injustice and greed of the elite to erupt into protests. Demonstrations were met with violent responses by authorities. However, it was unable to be contained since thousands of people spread information across the internet, jumping scale through social media. Authorities tried to contain the diffusion by limiting access to the internet, as seen in this graph. What started as a promising movement for freedom, and in some instances, democracy, unfortunately died down in 2012 with few positive results. And with some places, such as Syria and Iraq, descending into chaos and destruction. While globalization occurs across countless networks, there are modern hearths where globalization transpires at faster rates. In the mid-1980s, John Friedman, a professor and geographer, used the term world cities, or global cities, to describe the control centers of the world economy. These cities are not necessarily the largest in terms of population or industry, but are the places where the world's most important financial and corporate institutions are located, and where decisions are made that drive the world economy. As expected, most world cities are located in the developed core. In this graphic, you can see the relative influence of the top 25 rated world cities according to the American journal Foreign Policy. In our interdependent world, these cities are the primary engines of growth, major hubs of interconnectivity, and key gateways to valuable resources and capital, both physical and human. Many of these metropolises are also gateway cities. Because of their geographic location, often with at least one seaport and airport, they act as points of entry and distribution centers of goods and services for large geographic areas. However, keep in mind that obviously cities do not perform these undertakings themselves. It is through the people and corporations that globalization occurs. In many cases, companies employ the power of synergy to achieve greater profits, which is the cross-promotion of vertically integrated goods and services. In the simplest terms, synergy means that 1 + 1 = 3. By this, I mean that one person working for 2 hours is generally less productive than 2 people working for 1 hour. In other words, the finished product of agglomerated services is often greater than the sum of its parts. A great example of synergy is Disney's Magic Kingdom. Companies such as Kodak, McDonald's, Minute Maid, and Coca-Cola spend millions of dollars sponsoring rides, shows, and establishments. In turn, they can sell their goods in the park and also gain advertising, as around 20 million visitors go through the Magic Kingdom alone each year. Additionally, Disney is what we call a gatekeeper, which is a person or corporation who controls access to information. Other examples include the horizontally and vertically integrated companies you see in this graphic, as well as CNN, Fox News, Al Jazeera, The Wall Street Journal, and so on. Of course, there are still free speech havens on the internet, as is the case with weblogs, or blogs for short. These sites allow users to post ideas, various media, and also link to other sites. Blogs popped up slowly in the mid-1990s, but one of the big breaking stories to first premiere on a blog was about an inappropriate relationship between a White House intern and then-President Bill Clinton. Newsweek had initially buried the story, and while this event didn't start the blog craze, their numbers and influences have grown exponentially ever since. Now, some other influences of networks include brick-and-mortar industries that possess actual stores and do not solely exist on the internet. Cottage industries have always been around. These are based in homes, not factories. And the internet has expanded their markets far beyond what was possible before. Many are based on specialty goods, assembled individually or in small quantities. Many cottage industries are small companies run by people more as a side job, or as mom-and-pop stores or businesses that are not franchised by MNCs or TNCs. And finally, there are footloose industries, in which the cost of transporting both raw materials and finished products are not important for the location of the firms. In other words, they have a spatially fixed cost, and can be found in multiple locations and environments as a result. Examples include diamonds, computer chips, or e-commerce, which are web-based economic activities such as eBay or Amazon. And who knows where the future will take us? Drones, for instance, are becoming increasingly complex and autonomous. Perhaps someday soon, they will connect us to stores and goods like never before. Regardless, change is inevitable.
Bingo.